Okay, cool. So it's being recorded from now on. Okay, guys, so we are starting our webinar with our amazing Ivana Koshevia. She's going to enlighten us on many different subjects today because it's actually a Q&A session with her. But before that, I would like to say that this webinar was organized by the International WhatsApp Fasting Group. It's a very big group of people who cultivate the habit of fasting for 24 hours a week. So we fast every week between Friday and Saturday, at least for 24 hours. So if you watch this video on YouTube and this idea appeals to you, you can contact me. My name is Arik. I'm the manager of the group, and you can find the details below this video. Right now, I'm pleased to welcome Ivana.
Hi, Arik. Hi, everyone. So I don't know how you want to do this because I cut and pasted the questions here on a Word document. So I don't know if you want me to read the questions and answer them as we go along, or do you want to read the questions? I don't know.
Yes, I agree. It is better to read the questions first and then the answer and explanation.
All right.
Yes, Ivana, so maybe we can start from the questions asked by the people who actually present here. Then they can actually ask the question. And then when we finish, so we'll give those people a priority. And after that, we will go to all the rest.
All right. Now, is it okay if I name names?
It is better for me to say the name because we know who of us asked it, and we can also participate in order to say something.
All right, I just want to protect people's privacy if they don't want their names to be named, but if you're okay with that, then it's even better because, as you say, then you can chime in and participate. All right, so Ellie, you submitted a lot of questions. So I'm going to go through them one by one. All right, so number one, why is that I don't like a lot of raw recipes with mainly vegetables? Is it an eating disorder? Detoxing the stomach will heal that. So I want to ask, what do you mean you don't like the recipes? You don't like how the food is combined, or you don't like the vegetables themselves? What is it that is the problem? I'm not really understanding this.
So I mean, I seen internet a lot of recipes with sauces, different things, and I see a lot of people like this kind, but I don't like them. And I don't know why. And this is the reason that I eat only veggie fruits like tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, because I don't like the other ones. And because of the dogs, I have nausea, as I already have written there. And this makes the situation worse. And I don't like even more. Yes.
All right. So first and foremost, there's nothing wrong with you. Also, I don't recommend that people go out and start creating recipes of raw foods. The more you complex something, the more you make it complicated by combining a lot of different ingredients and processing them, the worse it is for the body. The more work you're creating for the body. I don't do anything to my fruits and vegetables apart from washing them, peeling them, and cutting them. That's it, and maybe juicing them or blending them. I don't make any fancy recipes. The closer you are to nature, the closer the food that you consume to its original natural form, the better it is for the body.
Yes.
Actually, all of these gourmet raw food dishes, pastas and breads prepared in the dehydrator are actually not so good for us. And people who have been detoxing for a while, and then they start to get a little bit of that emotional need to have that pleasant taste that reminds them of things that they used to eat, and they start going to raw vegan restaurants, they start eating that food, and they start to feel much, much worse. So I think it's actually a good thing that you don't care for that, because it's not that great for you. They utilize a lot of nuts, which are extremely heavy and difficult to digest. They combine foods that should not be combined, which creates digestive issues. Okay, so it's always better to keep your food very simple and not get too fancy. The body doesn't like it very much. It creates digestive issues. It creates problems for the body. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with you. You don't have an eating disorder. It's great. Now, as far as veggie fruits go, they're great. They're not great detoxifiers. So if you're looking to really dig deep, you're not going to be able to do that while eating cucumbers, peppers, and tomatoes. And I would especially recommend that people stay away from tomatoes. Tomatoes are very, very acidic, even in their raw form. They create mucus, they create acid ash, blowback. They're not so great. They taste great. I know, I love them myself, but they don't love us back the way we love them. So a tomato for me is something that is more of a treat, because tomato also has sodium. It's a little salty. So if you are, you know, a salt addict, or you have weak adrenal glands and you have salt cravings, the ultimate treat for me would be to juice some celery with tomatoes.
Celery has not so good taste. I don't like celery personally.
Well, celery is really salty. It also depends on the type of juicer you're using. If you're using the slower masticating juicer, it's going to get more of the fiber out, and you'll get more of the goodies, but it's going to be a little more bitter. If you use more of a high pressure juicer, it's called centrifugal, then you will get less of that, but it won't be, the celery taste won't be as strong. But you combine it together with tomato and add a little bit of ginger, and you know, you're in salt heaven. I love it. So but again, tomatoes are not great. And if I have tomato juice, fresh pressed, raw, I start to feel it within a couple of days. My teeth start to ache. It starts to affect me. I start to feel the acidity in my body. So even raw tomatoes are acidic. And if you are trying to detox and get acids out, I would recommend that you stay away from tomatoes as much as possible. All right. Okay. Second question. Are kidneys supposed to clear from lymphatic stagnation earlier than other parts of the body because they are who make the filtering of the lymph? Is it the same for adrenals because they're close to the kidneys? All right. So are you familiar with the water filter called Brita? You know what that is? It's a little pitcher. You put you pour water in it, and it has a filter installed that cleans the water. There are different kinds of brands, not just Brita, Pure. There's all kinds of filters. And the point of this is that the filter cleans the water, but who cleans the filter? How do we clean the filter? You understand? So your kidneys are like that filter in that pitcher.
Yes.
So the kidneys clean everything, but they get dirty themselves because they clean all the garbage. So first and foremost, for us to be able to detox any other part of our body, we have to detox the kidneys. We get the kidneys back online. We have to clean out those filters, and kidneys do have those tiny little filters inside them through which fluid passes, lymph passes, and it gets sort of clean. The blood also gets cleaned through the kidneys. So we have to get the kidneys working if we are to get any filtration of acids in our system. And none of the other organs will detox if we don't have kidneys that are filtering. So kidneys, along with the bowels and the skin, are major eliminative organs. So in order for us to detox, those organs have to be functioning properly. So kidneys have to first and foremost be able to filter themselves. Taking herbs, kidney herbs will assist in this. Also dry fasting. 24 to 36 hours of dry fasting really helps to open up the kidney because it spasms the kidneys, dislodging a lot of garbage that's been stuck in those tiny little filters. Now, once the kidneys start filtering, that whatever is closest to the kidneys will start to drain first. You asked about the adrenal glands. The adrenal glands sit right on top of the kidneys. And adrenal glands also play a role in kidney filtration because adrenal glands turn on the kidneys. So you have to support both the kidneys and the adrenals, because sometimes you may be doing everything right in terms of dry fasting, taking the herbs, but if your adrenals are sluggish, they will not signal to the kidneys to work correctly. So you have to support both the kidneys and adrenals together. And of course, the kidneys will then also help to decongest the adrenal glands from lymph. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I have heard that the nervous system requires a lot of time, many years to regenerate. Does this have to do with adrenals also, or is something different than nervous system?
Well, adrenals are a part of your nervous system. They belong to the autonomic nervous system. The reason why nerves take longer to regenerate is because they require more energy. And that's why if you want to regenerate your nervous system, you cannot do it on vegetables or veggie fruits. They don't have enough electricity, enough conductivity, and enough energy.
Yes.
Only fruit can do that. So if you're trying to regenerate your nervous system, you have to be on fruit, all fruit exclusively. You know, Dr. Morse had a patient with MS who he had put on fruit, and she started to regain her faculties. She started to be able to speak and move and so on. And then she went back to eating vegetables. And within a couple of meals, just having 1 or 2 meals of vegetables, she lost the progress she had made on fruit. So we see from practice the difference between vegetables and fruit. So if you are dealing with myelin sheath weakness, if you're dealing with any neurological conditions,
I just have weak adrenals, 9 to 6 my blood pressure.
well, then that's the same thing. You have to be on fruit.
Yes,
And
but
also, when you have weak adrenals, you can't say, I just have weak adrenals, because adrenals affect a whole host of things. Adrenals signal to everything else. They produce your neurotransmitters. They signal to the brain also. So you may start out with having weak adrenals, but there's going to be a domino effect that is going to affect all the other organs.
yes. Can I ask something else?
Yes.
So I have detox symptoms. I changed my diet 2 years and a half ago, and after 6 months of raw vegan, nausea started. So since then, I have no found a solution to this. The only way that I calm down my stomach is by putting oil in my salads.
All right.
Yes, I have made this
So is
question
the
also there.
question about nausea? Is that the detox symptom that you're talking about, the nausea?
Yes, I have put this question down below, but we can talk it right now. My question is, because I have detox symptoms, I don't want to eat fruits, so my stomach doesn't want to eat fruits because this situation makes me, it is hard. And if I eat fruits or take herbs, my detox symptoms become worse. So
Yes.
that does this mean that I am too toxic? This is the
Yes.
only yes.
Yes, but also here's the thing. Detox is not a comfortable process. Detox is not going to be easy or painless. By definition, detox is going to be very, very uncomfortable. So if you plan on getting healthy, then you need to get comfortable with discomfort.
Yes.
There's no way to detox the body without going through a healing crisis or the Herxheimer reaction. When you're detoxing, you are experiencing the same symptoms that you did when you first created the toxic event, when the condition was first created. For example, if you broke your arm and it did not heal properly, and now you're detoxing, you're going to feel the same type of pain in your arm that you did when you first broke the arm. That's just how it works. This is the nature of detox. You cannot avoid it.
Yes.
I personally get excited when I get a healing crisis. Yes, sure, it can be very uncomfortable and it can be very ugly, but I know in that moment that my body is healing. The best way to assist your body in dealing with these reactions and minimizing them is you have to open up your eliminative channels, your bowels, your kidneys, your skin. Because when you start to eat fruit, fruit is astringent. It starts to pull on that lymph. It starts to mobilize it. And you're going to feel discomfort with that. You know, when I eat watermelon, within 10 to 15 minutes, I start to get excruciating pain from the base of my skull, from into my neck, my shoulders, my arms, and sometimes my torso. Why? This is something that's known as referral pain. You see, your GI tract, even though it's made of anywhere between 200 to 500 million neurons, depending on the source. There's a variety of numbers that are out there, so I'm just going to give you a range. And 200 million neurons, which is nerve cells or brain cells, is roughly the equivalent of a dog's brain. Now, same as the brain, our GI tract on its own cannot feel pain. But our GI tract is hooked into every single organ in our body through nerve and lymph channels. So when you put in very astringent fruit that's pulling on the lymph, it starts to pull on the lymph in the wall of your GI tract. And that area, that segment of the GI tract that's connected to specific parts of the body is going to start to pull that lymph. You're going to feel it. It's like, imagine if you have a sink that has stagnant standing water in it, right? So the sink is clogged. So if you go underneath the sink and you start to sort of work on the pipes underneath, so you're not working on anything in the sink. You're starting to move and maybe try to unclog stuff that are in the pipes. But that movement, that vacuums, now it's pressure that's created because you're now released that clog, is starting to pull on whatever's on top, and you will see actually the water start to move on top, even though you're not doing anything with the sink. So it's the same when we consume certain types of herbs or chemistry through fruit that is highly astringent. It's going to reverberate into other parts of our body. So you're going to start to feel pain in places that don't seem to be connected to your GI tract, but they are, lymphatically and neurologically. So it is, while it is the GI tract that is being really drained and worked on, it starts to create and open up space where those lymphatic channels that connect the GI tract to other parts of the body now start to be able to drain a little bit themselves. So you start to feel that pulling action. And this is a sensation that is very painful and uncomfortable. Sometimes it can be excruciating. Sometimes it feels like somebody is taking a dull spoon and is sort of scraping the bone marrow from the inside of your bones. Somebody's twisting your muscles. It's extremely painful. And it only lasts for about 20 minutes or so while the digestion is happening.
Yes.
And while the fruit or the herbs are acting upon the lymph in that particular area of your GI tract. So this is very common to experience in detox. So be aware of that. Now, in terms of nausea specifically, Nausea is indicative of liver stagnation. And in your particular case, a big clue here is that as soon as you add oil, you stop feeling the nausea. Why?
No, it is the opposite. Oil helps me to calm down my nausea.
This is what I'm saying. You add the oil, you stop feeling the nausea, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Right. Why is this happening? When you're eating your raw fruits or even veggies, you see, even veggies have some pulling power, not quite as much as fruits. You start to pull on the liver, but as soon as you add oil, the detoxification stops.
Yes.
You see, you stop the process. Another thing is, you see, oil and liver are connected because liver is the digestive organ for lipids. It produces bile that then digests the fats. And of course, the gallbladder is connected to the liver. That is like a small portal where the bile is being held. So sometimes you feel nausea because you may have a blocked bile duct, right? So you're eating, it starts to pull on the liver, but the bile doesn't have anywhere to go because there is a blockage in the bile duct, right? Or you're just mobilizing the lymph and it can make you feel nauseous. Even drinking some juices that have strong pulling action on the liver, like beet juice, is going to give you nausea. So you need to work on your liver. I would be taking liver formulas, liver herbs, right? In the morning, first thing you take into your body is warm water with lemon, fresh squeezed lemon juice. That's going to start to help to unclog your liver a little bit. If you're going to do juices like beet juice, you're going to have to sip it slowly, because I've had instances several times it happened that I actually vomited because I drank it too quickly and it started to pull on the liver too much. The nausea was so overwhelming, I couldn't hold it down. Yes. I barely made it to the bathroom. So this is a detoxification symptom for sure, but stopping it and adding oil to it does not help because you're keeping your liver's condition in the same state. You're not improving anything, which is not what you want.
Yes, but I see that my filtering is getting better. So that means that, okay, oil doesn't stop 100% detoxification. It reduces it, I believe.
But also consuming, here's the thing, just because you see sediment in your urine doesn't mean it's detoxification. Ingesting oil creates mucus, creates sediment in your urine. So the sediment you're seeing is not from detoxification that you're pulling old lymph. The sediment that you're seeing in your urine is from ingesting mucus-forming food like oil. Do you see?
Yes, but also my kidneys are filtering that out in my urine, so that shows that my kidneys are improving. My kidneys.
That's great, but you now have to pull this lymph. If this lymph does not get released, it continues to stagnate in your liver because every time you feel uncomfortable, you stop the detox. It's going to continue to damage your liver. Now, you also asked the question about LDL being low.
Yes.
Is your LDL actually low, or is this more of a hypothetical, theoretical question?
It is. For example, if the normal is 40, mine is 35.
All right, so that's not that big of a deal. Now, abnormally low LDL can impact hormones, but it also, once again, points to insufficient liver function. Because LDL cholesterol is produced in response to acidosis. And if your body is acidic, your liver is going to produce LDL, trying to alkalize things a bit. And the fact that it cannot do that is a bit of a problem.
Yes.
So you see, you have, what I see here is that you have some issues with your liver. So I would recommend doing some liver flushes, but doing them properly. You have to prepare for them. Also, what really helps with nausea is fresh pressed apple juice.
Okay.
All right, so something you can sip. And let's say if you are going to eat, maybe 20-25 minutes before you eat, have a small glass of fresh pressed apple juice.
Okay.
All right, so it's going to introduce some of those enzymes, some of that malic acid that is very good for softening gallstones and is also very good for the liver. Now, if I were you, I would go on an apple juice fast for a while.
Yes, it is not easy because my detox symptoms go crazy, and then I lay all day long in my bed, and I have no energy and pain and different symptoms, and I cannot handle this situation.
Right, so if you have no energy, that means your adrenals are down.
Yes, I know.
So I always tell people, do not go into detox thinking that you can only do this with food alone. You're not going to be able to, especially when you're really toxic. You have to have herbs to support your glands, because then you're going to be wiped out on the floor. I've talked to people, and I had to hold somebody's hand virtually over the phone because she was in New Zealand, because she couldn't get off the freaking bathroom floor because she went into full-on detox and she has no herbs in her apartment, nothing. And she's calling me and she wants me to perform miracles for her. I can't do anything for you. You have to take certain things that are going to make you feel better, that are going to support your glands and organs while you're detoxing. You have to be cleaning your bowels. For you to be able to drain the liver, you have to clean your bowels.
Can I ask,
Yes.
fasting, dry fasting or water fasting, do these help with all this detoxification process?
Yes, they do, but they may take a long time. When people only fast, let's say, for 18 hours a day, it simply is not enough. It takes 12 hours for your body to burn off excess glycogen from your liver. And this actually takes even longer in women, studies show, because women do not utilize glycogen as well as men. And this has to do with estradiol. This has to do with our hormonal makeup. All right, so fasting is good, but unless you're doing it for a long period of time, you're not going to get as much of an effect out of it. And another thing what happens is that, and I think it was part of your question, is that you're not digesting well. And this a lot of times it happens because people go without food and water for 18 hours, and when they finally have the opportunity to eat, they have that small window, they go crazy because they're too hungry and they eat too much. They mix things that shouldn't be mixed, and then they create all kinds of digestive problems for themselves. They create sulfur, they create fungal problems, they create constipation. So to me, it's not worth doing fasting like that if you then go and undo it by not eating properly or correctly and breaking your fast improperly. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because it's like
So
you're taking one step forward and taking 2 steps back. If you cannot control yourself at the end of that fasting window when you are able to eat, where you can first break your fast properly instead of eating a lot and heavy, and then pace yourself and maybe have less food in general, because there's only so much you can fit into that window without creating serious digestive problems for yourself. If you can't do that, then you shouldn't intermittently fast for that time, because it's not productive.
yes, at this point that I don't have that problem. But my only problem is that when I have nausea, I need to eat 2 salads in order to feel better in my stomach, with oil, of course, in it.
Of course,
This
here's
is
the
my
thing,
problem.
because eating stops detox.
Yes, but I
If
eat
people,
cucumber, for
when
example.
people have ulcers, right? When people have an ulcer in their stomach and they say feed the ulcer, they feel better when they're eating.
Yeah.
Eating food does not improve the condition of their ulcer. But when you're putting food in, the body that then doesn't clean or repair can't do it. So you're stopping detox. So you
Yes.
have to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and take a little pain, because you're not going to be able to do this painlessly and comfortably. End of story. It doesn't happen to anyone. It doesn't work that way.
Yes.
And
Okay.
constantly feeding yourself when you start to detox, you are undermining the whole point of detox.
No. So the previous year or in the beginning, yes, I ate a lot, but now maybe I eat one meal a day or two, and I'm seeing that the situation gets better, but slowly, of course. But
All
it
right.
gets better. It does. And for example, yesterday until today, I made dry fast 24 hours, and I felt very good. No detox symptoms, which I used to have a lot of them in the past, and I had a hard time doing fasting. So I see that I am better. I go better.
All right. But if you want to be more effective, then there should be more fruit than
Yes,
vegetables.
slowly. I go
Vegetables
slowly.
don't detox you. The thing is, you can go slowly, but if you go slowly, it can take you 7 to 10 years. I don't know if that's okay for you. And it may be. You understand? It may be okay. But for
Yeah.
other people who maybe are dealing with cancer or some other degenerative diseases, those guys can't do that. They can't go slow.
Yes.
Because before you get anywhere, you'll be dead.
Yes. Um, I think that I am going slow, but veggie fruits, because are alkaline, they alkalize the lymphatic system, so they do clean, but slowly. This is what I believe.
The veggies, here's the thing. Veggies will detox you up to a point, because there are levels, you understand, and you're stepping
Yes.
down. When you're moving away from the meats and the dairy and the cooked food, and then you go into raw, it will detox you up to a certain point.
Yes.
But then you're going to hit a plateau and you'll have no progress whatsoever.
But I think that when I reach a plateau, I won't have so detox symptoms. So there I will go automatically in fruits. My body will want them. I think my body drives me, shows me the way.
Sometimes our body is not the best judge of things, and sometimes what we think the body wants us to do is not the body, but is our fear, or is our conditioning, or is our emotional issues. A lot of the times people say, oh, I'm listening to my body. And I gave this example before. A lot of times people say, oh, my body wanted a piece of steak. No, your body didn't want that. Your tapeworm wanted that.
Yes, right.
Okay, so you have to be careful when you say I'm following my body. Of
I'm
course, you
follow.
can do whatever you want with your body, but if you want results and if you want to get healthy, understand that there's no such thing as painless detox. It doesn't exist. If you're going to heal, you're going to get garbage out of your body. You're going to feel things the way you felt them when you first created the problem, because it's like rewinding a tape. That's all it is. And whatever symptoms were created last are the first ones that are going to be dealt with.
Yes.
And you're going to be sort of moving backwards in time as you detox, all the way till sometimes even past your genetics. You go all the way into the womb, so since you were a fetus in your mother's womb, and then you're dealing with the genetic issues that you inherited.
Right. Um, I was saying for my body that my body shows me the way. I meant that when my body wants the right things, like like the right food, fasting, etc. I didn't meant my body wants cooked food or everything that is not correct for me.
I understand, but sometimes we want to stay in that comfort zone because we're so afraid of the pain, and we convince ourselves that this is what the body wants. And
Yes.
also because, just from personal experience, it's easier for me also to be on veggie fruits. Why? Because it's more comforting. It's more filling. It's not because that the body wants that, because my emotional state is soothed when I eat veggies, where I can put a little bit of salt on and have a little bit of avocado that's fatty and nice and filling. You understand there's a difference between saying my body wants this. The body wants to heal itself. The body wants to clean itself. That's what the body always wants to do. That's what it's programmed to do. But when I say when you say my body wants veggies, I say, no, I want veggies.
Yes.
Because maybe I don't want the sweet all the time, because sweet is more desserty to me. And because my adrenals are weak, I'm craving more savory, translation salty stuff rather than sweet.
Yes.
And that's, once again, that's not the body, it's your emotional need to soothe yourself, to not feel things that are uncomfortable, to not want to confront. Human beings are driven by one thing only. We want to move away as far as possible from that which we perceive as painful or uncomfortable, and move toward that which we perceive as pleasant or rewarding. And we will always, always, always make the choice toward the easy way out. But that's not the body, because the nature is more intelligent.
Yes.
So my advice to you is simply be more aware and really sort things out. Is it your body, or is it really your emotional need and fear? Maybe fear of not wanting to feel that discomfort.
Yes.
You see?
Yes, I agree. So can I have another question?
Sure.
I filtered once, and my urine was full of filtering. But I saw that with pH, I calculated. I saw the pH of this, and it was alkaline, despite of filtering in the urine.
That's right. And this is why I told you, just because you see sediment in your urine doesn't mean you're detoxing. When your urine is alkaline, that sediment is actually minerals that your body has stolen and pulled out of your connective tissue to mitigate acidosis. That means you're so acidic that your body is pulling calcium from everywhere to try to alkalize itself. So what you're peeing out is not acids and stagnant lymph. What you're peeing out is your electrolytes, your minerals. And this is why you see that your urine is alkaline. So this is very important, because people will see sediment in their urine and they will just say, this is it, I'm detoxing. Not necessarily. And I saw this with myself. And the worse I ate, the more minerals I would lose and the more sediment I would see in my urine.
Yes,
So
I
you're
don't.
not detoxing. Thank God your kidneys are filtering, but what they're filtering out is the garbage from what you just ate. And also they're sort of disposing of the minerals that have been pulled from your bones, your teeth, your connective tissue.
Yes, I have heard Dr. Morse saying that this happens in the beginning of detoxing. Yes.
Not necessarily. I'm detoxing for 3 years and can still happen to me from time to time.
Yeah. Or in the beginning of filtering, maybe he meant. I don't.
No,
I
this
don't know.
happens when you are releasing a lot of acids, or you are introducing a lot of acids into your body.
Yes.
And the body then initiates the calcium buffering mechanism. Now, you asked, speaking about calcium, you asked about your parathormone The question is, parathormone enough for calcium utilization?
Yes, because my parathormone is okay, the levels of this hormone, and but I see some signs that means that I lost calcium. Maybe is this because of acidosis that you said I lose calcium.
Here's the thing. It's not just about your parathyroid. You can be producing adequate amounts of hormones that utilize calcium, but if your digestion is compromised or your absorption is compromised, there's no calcium for your parathormone to utilize. There are 4 stages in how we receive nutrition, how we eliminate. First stage is digestion. Digestion happens via the pancreas, which produces pancreatic enzymes. And these are the enzymes that digest carbohydrates. You have your liver gallbladder, which are involved in digestion of fats. And then you have your stomach acid, hydrochloric acid, which is involved in breaking down proteins. Now, if any of these areas are impaired, that you are not digesting the food that you're taking in. And if you can't digest that food, that's it, you're done. That calcium, whatever may have been in the plant food that you just ate, your body can't do anything with it because it has not been digested. So you're done right there. Now, let's say you have decent digestion, but your GI tract is backed up. You're lymphatically backed up in the wall of your GI tract so much that nothing can pass through it.
Yes.
This is how we get malabsorption. That means that even if you have digested and broken down the food that you ate, you cannot absorb the minerals from that food. They simply cannot get into your system. So once again, you're done at stage 2. And it doesn't matter how much parathormone you produce, because there is nothing for it to do.
Yes, but is it only the parathormone that is important for calcium utilization?
No. You also have your thyroid, which produces calcitonin. So you need both your parathyroid and your thyroid, calcitonin and parathormone. But also there's more processes involved. Now, for you to have proper calcium utilization, you need to have adequate levels of vitamin D. You need to have vitamin K to be able to absorb that calcium, K2. You also need other cofactors, other minerals, because the bone and tooth matrix, connective tissue matrix, is not just made from calcium. You need magnesium, you need phosphorus, you need zinc, you need selenium. So thyroid and parathyroid are involved in utilizing calcium, but your adrenal glands are involved in utilizing in all the other things like magnesium, selenium, and zinc, right? So if your adrenals are not performing, you're not utilizing those particular minerals and elements, then you're missing a part of the matrix, because the recipe calls for a bunch of things, but you're only delivering one of them.
Yes.
Do you see?
Yes, right.
So you still then cannot build muscle, you cannot build bone, you cannot build tooth enamel, because you don't have the rest of the ingredients. It's like if you wanted to bake a cake and all you have is flour. Well, what are you going to do with that? I mean, flour is great, it's a part of it, but you're going to need other things that go into that cake.
Yes. So my question is, bone marrow glandular, is it going to to improve my situation, or yeah?
I don't know. Like I said, are you digesting? Are you utilizing? First of all, how do you know that your parathormone levels are okay?
I made a blood test.
So they measured your parathormone levels.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. How is your thyroid?
I have Hashimoto.
All right. So thyroid
Um,
is not so great, right?
yeah.
So thyroid, as you know, is also involved in production of calcitonin and is also necessary. And you also have adrenals. So
Yes.
look at your vitamin D levels. And this is something I recommend supplementing.
Okay.
Because most raw vegan, if not all, unless they're supplementing, are going to be deficient in vitamin D. Because vitamin D is stored in fat tissue. You go raw vegan, you lose all of your fat. If you don't have enough sun exposure, you live in northern climates, you're not getting your vitamin D replenished. Vitamin D, of course, needs its companion, vitamin K2. So have to put that in also. Now, there are vegan sources of vitamin D3. You don't have to have an animal source of it, because most of commercially available vitamin D3 actually comes from sheep lanolin. It's the grease from the sheep's wool that they collect and then they expose to UV light. And this is how they make most vitamin D. Vegan form of vitamin D comes from lichen, which is sort of a type of tree moss that grows on trees. And a good brand for this is Naturello. And it comes in 2,500 milligrams and 5,000 milligrams. And what I noticed for me was that I underestimated just how deficient I was in vitamin D, because I was taking 5,000 international units weekly, which is a normal sort of dose if you are deficient. But it wasn't even a drop in the bucket for me. I was that deficient. And it wasn't until I started taking 30,000 daily for 2 weeks that I saw my enamel start to rebuild in my teeth.
Yeah.
And that is something I did for 3 weeks, and then I stopped, because once again, you don't want to overload yourself with vitamin D, because there's vitamin D toxicity that comes with its own problems. So be aware of that. And if you don't have enough vitamin D, you're not going to be able to build bone, muscle. You may lose your hair with low vitamin D content. You may be depressed because of that.
Yeah.
So that's another factor. And make sure that you are digesting and you're absorbing through your intestinal wall, and then that you're utilizing.
So I have underacidic stomach. I have extreme malabsorption. So I have all this. I have weak adrenals for magnesium, zinc, all this. So I have all of them.
So this is why you can't rebuild. Now, when you have malabsorption, the only way to fix malabsorption is by fixing elimination. You have to aggressively work on your GI tract. And the only way to do that is to go on an extended juice fast.
Yeah.
A minimum of 3 months.
Okay.
With herbs. There's no shortcuts. Sorry to tell you. I did herbs on a fruit diet with GI Renew and GI Broom for 2.5 years. And it did not get me anywhere until I went on an 85-day juice fast, that I started to see changes and rapid changes. So people think that they can eat and clean their GI tract. Sorry, you can't. If you're putting food in that tube, you cannot effectively clean it. It's like if you had a garage that you wanted to clean and really give it a good clean, and you walk in and it's loaded with all kinds of crap laying around, you can't clean it until you get all the crap out of it.
Yeah.
You have to create space for your body to be able to actually clean the wall of the intestine. The herbs cannot interact with the intestinal wall if it's backed up, if it has stuff in it.
Okay. So another question, can I measure calcitonin through blood tests Is there a way
I
to
don't
see
know.
that? You
I don't know that.
Okay.
I have never heard of it. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I've also never heard that you could measure parathyroid, because, you know, when I would get my blood work done, they only measure the thyroid stimulating hormone, or they're measuring, you know, your T4, T3.
Yes.
It's quite possible that they can, but I don't know about it, so I can't speak to it.
Okay. What about magnesium and all these from adrenals? Can I measure them or not? The same.
You can, but what is the point?
There is no point.
If here's the thing, if you are not rebuilding, that means you're deficient in something. But deficiencies come from poor digestion, absorption, utilization. It's not because you're not taking in enough.
Yeah.
It's because your body is not actually extracting it or not utilizing it.
Yeah.
And when you're malabsorbed, here's your problem right there. It's taking more in is not going to make it easier for you to absorb. The problem is that you cannot absorb anything through your GI tract wall. It's that backed up. So if it cannot absorb 5 milligrams of magnesium, do you think it can absorb 20? There's no difference. You're just clogging up your system, and you're creating more work for your body to do to try to remove these things. Also, I never, ever, ever recommend that people take synthetic chemistry, like taking a magnesium supplement. Always get your minerals, your vitamins from foods, because that is the only way your body can utilize them. Your body doesn't know what to do with synthetic chemistry. It perceives it as a toxin. It perceives it as something that is harmful to itself, and then it has to work hard to get it out of your system.
Okay. So another question, vitamin D, should it be at least 30 when I measure it through blood tests?
I
Because
don't know, but I don't get hung up on blood tests. I'm sure your doctor will tell you. If you go for a blood test, they will tell you what the normal levels are. You can look this up on the internet.
yes, I know which are the normal, but I am talking about my teeth in order to strengthen them. Which levels should be at least?
They should be within normal range. However, you're not going to be able to strengthen your teeth if you're not absorbing the vitamins that you're taking in. You're thinking about taking vitamin D. The problem is you're not absorbing through your intestinal wall. It doesn't matter what you're taking in. What I'm trying to get across to you here is that you have to fix your malabsorption. If you want for that chemistry of those minerals, of those nutrients to be utilized in your body. There's no point in taking this, like throwing money down the toilet, literally, because the way it comes in, it comes out the other end. Your body's doing nothing with it. It can't, because it's so clogged up. So it's not the point of putting in stuff. It's a matter of enabling your body to actually use the food that you're putting in it. You see?
Yeah. Okay.
Taking stuff is not going to get you anywhere if your body can't do anything with it.
But I believe that I absorb a little bit. Otherwise, I would have many problems, I think.
The body can do with very little.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the body can do that. There are people that go on dry fast for 50 days where they don't eat or drink for 50 days.
Okay, yes.
And they come out better for it. So there is this fixation with nutrition. The body does not need as much as people think it needs. The body can make things literally out of air.
Yeah, right.
It's not the point. The point is to remove obstruction so that the body can actually do its job, can get its nutrition from anywhere.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, guys, does anyone else have any questions?
I do.
Well, who's that?
Well, I had a lot of questions I sent to Ivana.
Okay.
So. Ivana, do you have them in front of you or should I read them out?
I'm trying to scroll here.
Hey, let me see. I'm scrolling as well. Okay, so yeah, I got them here. So we talked about malabsorption
Yes.
and malnutrition, and I'm right now on a juice fast. It's a day 8,
Okay.
and I'm really going for 3 months. So let's see how it goes. But
Good for you.
yeah, well, you know, when you suffer, then you have to. And I very much can second that. What you just told us and shared with us is no matter how much vitamin D I'm absorbing and consuming and K, you know, I started to use those things like 4 weeks ago, and it hasn't really helped, you know. So I mean, I will continue doing that, but yeah. Anyway, so I want to incorporate either stomach bowel tonic or GI Renew. I'm currently taking GI Broom. What would you recommend? The stomach bowel
Okay.
tonic or
So these things are not either or. These things are to be taken both.
Okay.
One is not the substitute for the other.
Got it.
They're sort of different formulas. So your GI Renew, formerly known as the stomach and bowel formula, is to keep your bowels moving. Okay, it has a little bit of plantain leaf, which is lymphatic action on the intestinal wall. So we're moving things, we're clearing out the solid stuff, right? And this is about keeping you regular. GI Broom, on the other hand, is what the name of it says. It really scrapes the intestinal wall. And unlike GI Renew, it has binders in it and psyllium husks. So psyllium will bulk things up, and this is very good when you are on a juice fast, because then those juices can actually, when they mix in your GI tract with GI Broom, they have a more of a scrubbing power on the intestinal wall. And then you have charcoal in it, you have clay in it. And charcoal and clay will adsorb, means they will pull to themselves and trap particles that will then be taken out of the body. These binders are indigestible. So there's nothing from GI Broom, or almost nothing, that your body is going to absorb. With GI Renew, you have herbs that the body's going to absorb. You see the difference?
Yeah.
And that's why GI Broom is so good, because it traps everything to it without giving it the opportunity to be reabsorbed into the body. Because the body will remove it completely undigested.
Yeah. I got that. I think, you know, what has been crucial for me, at least the last 2 days, I incorporated a little bit late, but I incorporate enemas. And without enemas, I woke up in the morning, you know, on a juice fast with a lot of GI Broom, though. I took a lot. And once in a while, if I don't have it, then I mix the husk, the clay, and the chocolate, you know, and I mix it and drink it like this with the juice. And if I don't do enemas, then I'm so bloated and I can't eliminate. So
yes, that's another thing. GI Broom will constipate you unless you have 2 to 3 normal bowel movements per day. And this is why you need the GI Renew, because the GI Renew will keep you moving, will ensure that you're having the 2 to 3 bowel movements per day. Do you see?
Makes sense.
Because if you don't and you start to take GI Broom, it's going to constipate you.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I woke up this morning, I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And I even noticed that while doing the enemas, I've done it in the past, but it was really hard to do the enemas. So it took me, you know, half the you know, kind of bottle, and then an elimination, and then the other half, you know. So I really noticed that I have to work my way up. So yeah, but this is really helpful.
So wait a minute, let me just add one more thing. Since you are on a juice fast, start your day with celery juice. It's excellent to get the bowels moving.
Yeah.
Plain, nothing added, celery juice, a minimum of 16 ounces, more if you can do it. Because that alone, you wake up, you drink that, it's gonna get you going right away. Within 15 minutes or 20 minutes, you're gonna empty your bowels.
Okay, great.
All right. Another juice that is super excellent for constipation, but comes with a warning, is pear juice. And anytime I talk about juice, I always only talk about fresh pressed juices. I'm not talking store-bought cooked garbage with added sugars and stuff. Stuff that is freshly squeezed. Pear juice. Once again, get 18 ounces of pear juice. It will clean you out like nothing in this world. However, be warned, you better not have any plans that day because you will be stuck on the toilet. Don't drink it at night because you will sleep on the toilet. Okay, so pear juice is no joke. So if you really get constipated, you don't have any herbs, you're on a juice fast, get some pear juice in you.
Right. Okay, it's a good tip. My second question that I had about rebuilding an animal is that's why I'm doing the whole thing. Basically, the main reason. And I've been noticing, I wrote down choose fasting versus slowing down the detox with eating. So, like I think for me the most important is to get my body absorb the herbs and to clean up the GI tract, which I can't really do when I eat, right? So what would you recommend? Right now I only do juice fastest, but only greens to protect my teeth.
Perfect. Perfect. So when you are trying to clean out your GI tract and you have tooth problems, I would stick to vegetables. Because when you drink fruit juices, they're much less dense, more refined. Most of it is not going to be eliminated through your GI tract, but through urine via kidneys. This is what I noticed. And I've seen this with other people, with clients, that they will not have bowel movements if they are only drinking fruit juice. But if they have vegetable juice, they will go. So when your focus is on cleaning out your GI tract, vegetables are better because they're more dense and they're better at pulling things, and especially things like beets when you mix them with lemon juice. Beets and ginger, add a lot of ginger to things. It increases gut motility. It also is a mucus buster. The one really good juice that I like to make myself when I was juicing to clean out the bowels would be beets, an apple. I would add radishes. I would add ginger, and I would add a little bit of horseradish root. Got to be careful with horseradish because it's really, really strong. Another mucus blaster. You do that, and if you're juicing radishes, also include the leaves, the greens. Same with the beets. Include that. A really good puller. And of course, because vegetable juice is more dense, it's not as destructive to the teeth, and it doesn't pull as much lymph in your mouth. You see, so it sort of helps you. But I always had my teeth problem come back when I would go on a juice fast, until I really started to use the oil and the applications of the oil. And somebody asked me, there's a question here, and I don't know who asked it, how I apply the oil. And I want to talk about this because I think it's important. So after I have brushed my teeth with a tooth powder, I will take a Q-tip, I will dip it in that oil mixture, and I will almost use the Q-tip as a toothbrush, where I will go over each tooth and I will try to get underneath the gum really well, right? So you want to almost like scrub it and rub it in, basically. Both on the outside and on the inside of your jawline, right? So all around the tooth. And when you have teeth problem where lymph is being pulled and you're not filtering, you're going to start to see more sensitivity in your teeth, more loss of enamel. I do recommend wearing a retainer even during the day that is sort of treated with oil. Once again, you put a Q-tip and just sort of swab it on the inside, right? And then once you put it in, just go over your gum line again. Now, always spit the excess oil out. You don't want to be swallowing that oil.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I already do that. And even though, you know, also during dry fasting, I know it's still not dry, but at this point on my journey, I have to protect my teeth a little bit more. So
Sure.
yeah, I'm using the oil and sometimes with like wheatgrass and turmeric, and it really helps. So I'm having that throughout the day, and it helps. But you're saying, if I hear you correctly, with teeth problems and malnutrition problems and GI problems, still the juice fast and
Yeah.
vegetables is the way to go instead of incorporate eating, correct?
Yes, also with malnutrition. And I would only do this when you have, and this is only for people who have tooth problems. This is not for everyone. When you have problems with your teeth, you know, I always recommend people drink their juices through the straw. But with vegetable juices, with alkaline juices, you can actually keep the juice in your mouth and swish it in your mouth and almost like chew it. You understand? Because you have enzymes in your saliva that are going to break down and digest some of that juice. And this is especially good for those who have malabsorption, because that way with juice, it's very easy to get quite a bit of digestion done in the mouth when you cannot absorb it through the GI wall, you see? And what I also do, I use alfalfa leaf juice, where I will almost do it as if I'm oil pulling, but it's a solution in water, where I just swish it in my mouth, where the saliva digests it, and it has a really high mineral content. Alfalfa is loaded with minerals and calcium and all the other stuff. So you're getting absorption of those minerals directly into the teeth while it's being digested and broken down by the enzymes in your mouth. So this is another way to get that nutrition, to get those minerals into your teeth and into your jawbone. If you cannot absorb properly through the GI tract.
Yeah, makes very much sense. And so I'm already doing everything what you just mentioned. So I hope I get better soon. Perfect. The same day, like the detox. Yeah, my question, I think I have 2, 3 more, are in regards of dry fasting. I feel like dry fasting, it speeds up the healing, right? It speeds up. At the same time, it accelerates the detox.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So is this not contradictive in kind of?
Because dry fasting, unlike any other type of fasting, utilizes a very different mechanism. For example, well, first of all, juice fasting, you're not fasting, sorry. Okay, you are eating. You're eating liquid food. There's no fasting involved in juicing. So this is a misnomer, if you will. When I watched the video Arik shared of the Russian doctor who explained dry fasting, I had to chuckle, because the guy said, if you are drinking water, you're not fasting, you're on a water diet. And he is correct, because you are digesting. Fasting is abstaining. It's complete abstinence. That's what fasting is. So even with water, you have digestive processes, and it's water that is used to flush the toxins out. In dry fasting, these toxins are not flushed out. This is the difference. They're burned up, they're incinerated within the cell with very little byproduct. So where in water fasting, you're going to be moving acids out of your system. It's not so with dry fasting. It's a self-contained mechanism where there's very little byproduct, very little toxins are being released.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's really accelerated, but you don't see as much damage because those acids are not passing through the normal pathways of elimination.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, when it comes to teeth and dry fasting, I've noticed when I dry fast, you know, and then up to whatever, 24 hours. And
It's not enough. I'm sorry.
yeah, I know.
It's not enough. Just based on my personal experience, 24 hours is okay. 24 hours is where you enter autophagy. That's where just things just start happening and you stop it. You break the fast. And this is why dry fasting is said to be 3 times more effective, because on water fast, it takes 3 days to achieve autophagy. On dry fasting, 1, but it's a 24-hour period. And it also depends on how clean your body is, because it takes up to 36 hours. It depends on how clean your body is going into the dry fast, how much food you've been eating before going into the dry fast, how much waste that you're carrying in your intestines.
But yeah, but when I dry fast and I have teeth problems, should I use the oil when I do a, you know, 48 hours or not at all?
No. Here's what I do. I will use a retainer, which I kind of have to wear because I used to have braces. And we talked about this, you and I, on a personal level. You will apply the oil to you. You oil pull before you start your dry fast.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely do. You oil pull, you brush your teeth, you clean your teeth, you apply the oil with the Q-tip. I will also put it in a retainer that's treated with oil. Mm. And I will keep it in for the whole fast. Now, what happens after a certain period of time, I'm sorry?
Sorry, I think what I misunderstand is always, even if I put the retainer in my mouth during dry fasting with the oil eventually, obviously, gets into the system, into the saliva and into my body.
Correct, so, but only for a certain period of time, because then it's going to be washed away. Mm-hmm. So for a period of time, it's going to buffer you, but then you're going to enter autophagy. It's not going to matter.
I see.
Do you understand? Because by the time you get to autophagy, where everything is nice and neat and self-contained, where you're not harming your teeth, that oil will have been long ago absorbed and washed away.
Okay. So let's say I start whatever at noon, do oil pulling, start my dry fast. I wear the retainer. And then after whatever 20 hours, I don't use it anymore. And then I go just in a dry fast.
Personally, I keep the retainer in for the duration of the whole time. But my circumstance is a little different because I wear Invisalign retainers. Mm-hmm. My retainer comes from having had braces. So if I am dry fasting for many days, I'm not going to take it out, because if I do, I have to wear it at least a certain portion of a day, right? Mm-hmm. Otherwise, my teeth will move. But if I'm going to take it out and I can't clean it because I'm not touching water, it becomes a mess. So it's easier for me just to keep it in for the duration from, 0.0 till I'm done with the fast.
Yeah.
But also my retainer is different. My retainer is specifically fitted for my teeth. Mm-hmm. It fits like a glove. Versus, I don't know if it's the same for retainer you buy to just sleep in. You understand?
Yeah.
So my retainer is a little bit different. So it's not like I have oil sloshing in, because I don't have a lot of room there. Mm-hmm. My retainer is shaped in the exact same way as my teeth. So it fits really snug like a glove. It's designed to keep my teeth from moving.
Yeah, that's different with the conventional retainer.
Right. So you may take it out, and then it's even better for you, because then you don't have these problems. I just keep it in the whole time, and I don't take it out until I break my fast. Because for me to take it out and put it back in, because I would have to, if I'm fasting for 7 days or 8 days or 9 days, I cannot be without the retainer for that time, because my teeth are going to be messed up by the time I'm done. They'll they will have moved too much.
Okay.
So I have to do it that way. But you can take it out after 20 some hours, you can take it out. Yes.
Okay, got it. Makes sense.
Okay.
And I think the last two questions, and I think I can put it in one question, is phases of detox, and not necessarily healing crisis, but you know, going through a detox, you don't necessarily look amazing. And I know everybody says it's only about the looks and whatever, don't care, but you know, we live in a world where looks are so what I've been experiencing, you know, being on this detox but with malnutrition, but you know, is that I you know, just look much older and more tired and depleted, and like noticeable, and you know, so you know, more wrinkles and all that kind of stuff. So obviously then your creepy mind comes in, you know, and it's like, oh my God, do I do something wrong? And it's not reversible. So do you have any experience or any insight that you could share with us, going through this process of looking like crap and reversing
it's
that?
normal. It happens to everybody. It happened to me. The first 3 months, I looked gray. I looked like a 3-day-old corpse, okay? It was not pretty. This is what's gonna happen. And also, this is especially common when you are not utilizing calcium properly, or you have glandular weaknesses and your body is pulling a lot of calcium from your tissues when you're acidic. And as you're releasing acids, understand that the body will also pull calcium out because it needs to neutralize them while they're getting removed, because acids will burn. So you will see, you know, more loose skin, and you will feel like you look older. Now, certain areas of the face where you see wrinkles or you see tension, like your eyebrows here and in between the eyebrows, your glabella, this is liver tension. So if you have liver that's overloaded, you're gonna tend to squint your eyes more, you're gonna frown more here, you're gonna notice more wrinkles here. Anything around your mouth is connected to digestive organs and lungs. Under eye area is related to kidneys and adrenals. So you will see as you go through various stages of detox that you're gonna see these things come up. The most effective anti-aging thing you can do is dry fasting. Hard dry fasting, not soft dry fast, hard, when you do not have any contact with water, for a minimum of 3 days or up. Nothing takes away lines, wrinkles, like dry fasting. You come out of a dry fast of a minimum of 3 days, you look 13 years old. But you have to break the fast correctly, because when you break the dry fast, the body then floods itself with stem cells where you're replacing all the structures. And it takes 3 days. It's by day 3 that I see my face completely relax. There's no tension, there's no single lines, nothing. However, also during dry fast, because I have weak adrenals, I will start to see really dark circles come up under my eyes, which go away once you break your fast. But this is showing you where your weaknesses are. These are temporary things until you fix them. Now, it's very important that when you do this type of a dry fast, that it has to be absolute or hard dry fast. If water touches your skin, that skin does not get regenerated. And if you fast for several days, you will, when you finally take a shower, all of that skin is going to come off. It's going to peel off. You get a total, it's like getting a peel on your face. It's amazing. It all comes off. The last fast I did was 9 days. I couldn't stop touching my face because my skin felt so soft, so smooth. It was like glass. And I just kept going, oh my God, this feels so good. Nothing works as well as a hard dry fast, but it's 3 days and up.
Got it.
And people would ask me, what are you doing? You look 13 years, and the difference, because it would only be like 3 to 4 days, and people would be like, what happened to you? It's so noticeable.
Mm.
The best
Yeah.
thing you can do for your skin, and it just shows you how dry fasting regenerates tissue,
Mm.
how it chews up everything that is old, that is damaged, defective, that is beyond repair, and produces new, replaces with new things, new cells.
Okay. Yeah, I just have been noticing through all my detox back and forth over the last
It
1
will
year.
reverse. It will reverse, but also prepared, because this is going to happen. We detox in layers where you look bad, then you start to look great, and then you look bad again. You understand? Because now you're digging to a deeper layer, you're bringing a lot of crap up, and it's going to affect how you look. So you're going to go through these layers. So just understand that this is all reversible. It will fix itself. If you stay on a juice fast long enough, within a month or so, you're going to start to look younger and fresher. You're going to see the change.
Okay, that's very promising. Oh God. Okay.
I promise you this will happen. I promise you.
Okay.
From personal experience, this will happen. As long as you keep cleaning.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very, how do you call it in English? Diligent at the moment. So I'm very committed. You know, when suffering is really bad, you become more committed, you know, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. So yeah, thank you so much. And these were my questions. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. What else do we have?
Okay, guys.
Yeah, can I ask some questions?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Revital.
Okay, I asked you to give a list of all, you give all these names and I don't know, of doctors and companies and products for different things.
Well, I'm confused a little bit with the doctors.
Dr. Morris, you mentioned.
Okay, all right. So, okay, so first of all, let me preface this by saying that I'm sorry I'm not going to be making any lists for anybody, okay? Because it's too much work that I don't get paid to do and I have no interest in doing. I've given information in previous webinars. I'm going to give you information right now that you can take down, and then you can go back and rewatch the video, because these videos are posted both on the weekly fasting group channel and my personal channel. You can always go back and re-listen to the information. I also sent you information via WhatsApp. I sent you some websites, some products, and stuff like that. So you can go back to that, simply rewind that thread and look at that. The doctors, the only doctors I talk about are Dr. Morse, which is who I learned from. That's Robert Morse, M-O-R-S-E, like Morse code. Robert Morse.
Okay.
He has a YouTube channel and he has a practice in Florida. I highly recommend his videos. Lots of free, excellent information on how to get healthy, on how the body works.
Okay.
The other doctor I mention is Dr. Filonov, which is a Russian doctor who is the dry fasting expert.
How do you
That's
spell
F-I-L-O-N-O-V, Filonov.
Okay.
And you can find an ebook of his that's been Google translated into English. Highly recommend. If you ever need to know anything about fasting, specifically dry fasting, this is the book to read. He also discusses other types of fasting and compares them, so you get a lot of information. He has a website, though it's in Russian, but through that website you can purchase his books that have been translated properly into English. So I don't know how you would navigate a Russian website. If you don't speak Russian, don't read Russian, maybe you could find somebody who could help you. But you can actually purchase his books in English that have been translated properly, not via Google, okay? Another doctor I mentioned is Dr. Jensen. Jensen is now have long been dead. He is known as the father of American iridology. He was a naturopath. He had written textbooks on iridology. He had written a lot of books on bowel care. But if you're going to read his books, which are very good, I want to sort of give you a little bit of a warning. He's more of the old generation where he was still recommending oats and grains and such, and fermented foods, which we don't do anymore because we have learned better. You understand? So when you read his books, keep that in mind. Don't take all of his recommendations at face value, because he recommends some things that we now know are not optimal. But he explains very well how the bowel works, how various organs are connected to the GI tract, and how this works. He's great for that. Another source I would recommend is Arnold Ehret. That is E-H-R-E-T. And he wrote books on fasting.
Wait a minute, E-H-R?
E-H-R-E-T. Arnold Ehret, right? He wrote a bunch of books on fasting and the mucusless diet. And he, since you like lists, he's very good for this. He created lists of foods that are mucus forming, foods that are not mucus forming, and foods that are sort of in between. And you will be surprised to see how many fruits and vegetables are actually mucus forming and therefore not detoxifying and should be eaten in moderation. So is a great source for that. So this is as far as doctors go. I don't believe I've mentioned anyone else. These would be the only people. And what was the other part of the question?
Companies, products that...
So I told you about the 100% Pure brand. It's called 100% Pure. They have cosmetics. They have bath products. Their shampoos and conditioners are really, really great. And they have, obviously, condition-specific shampoos and conditioners. They have clarifying, moisturizing, whatever your issue is, and they're really, really good. They're 100% vegan, cruelty-free. They don't have any harmful chemicals in them. And you still can buy them. You don't have to sit in your kitchen with a cauldron and you know, make witchy potions. So you can just go and buy it. They're a little pricey, but they're really good. There is a website here. I don't know if they sell outside of US. It's called the Detox Market. And they curate brands and products that are non-toxic, that are vegan and cruelty-free. So even if they do not sell in Europe or wherever you are, you can just go and search their products, see what brands they are, and then go and look for those products somewhere else. You see? So they have a lot of cosmetics that you can use that are non-toxic. There is a documentary called Toxic Beauty. And in the US, it was available on one of the premium channels, I believe Stars, but I'm sure you can find it elsewhere, where they talk about cosmetics and skincare and how toxic it is and how unregulated it is and how use of cosmetics is the reason why women, this generation of women, are infertile. Have you noticed that women in their 30s, 35, they cannot conceive and they have to go and do IVF, which
a lot of women
is mind-boggling. And this is because of the cosmetics. Your skin creams have mercury in them. And they don't have to write it on the label. They can just put it as fragrance. And you have no idea what that is. And this film talks about specifically Johnson & Johnson and the baby powder. that's been causing ovarian cancer in women. And there was a student there who did an experiment where she took her blood and measured levels of certain carcinogenic compounds that are used in cosmetics, like parabens and phthalates and so on. And she only stopped using them for like a day or two and switched to the non-toxic green brands. And even that showed a dramatic reduction of those chemicals in her blood, just stopping them for a couple of days. And these particular chemicals affect the reproductive organs. This is why we're seeing ovarian cancers, uterine cancers. This is why we're seeing so much infertility. And the reason we're not seeing so much of this in men is because men don't typically use cosmetics. So this is why it's much more prevalent in women.
Okay.
So be very, very selective in what you put on your skin, because human skin is not like dog skin. We sweat, we excrete, but we also suck things in through the skin. Our skin eats. Anything you put on your skin, it's like you're eating it. So if you cannot eat a product that you buy at a store, do not put it on your skin.
And also, you mentioned in the past what to use instead of toothpaste and sunscreen, lotions. Where can I find
All right,
it?
so tooth powder.
What?
Tooth powder, not toothpaste. I tell people to throw away their toothpaste because it is made with glycerin. Glycerin, what gives it that pasty consistency? Glycerin is the substance that holds the ingredients together. Glycerin is what is creating a film over your teeth that is like a lock that does not allow anything to come into the teeth, which means you cannot remineralize your teeth. And you cannot neutralize the acids that are coming in from the inside of your teeth, right? So the acids will be destroying your teeth from the inside because there's basically a membrane over your teeth that doesn't allow these acids to be excreted. It doesn't allow for saliva to come in and neutralize the acid. So, tooth powder, baking soda, make sure it's aluminum free, bentonite clay, and the one I use is called montmorillonite. It has a higher calcium content, by Aspen Naturals is the brand. Montmorillonite bentonite clay and calcium carbonate powder.
How do you spell what you said before?
Oh, geez, you're gonna make me spell it. I don't know. Well, Mont, M-O-N-T, morillonite. I think there's 2 L's.
This is, but the name you said before, something that starts with a V.
Baking soda?
No, after the baking soda.
I think it was
bentonite clay.
Oh, bentonite clay, but there are different
clay.
types of bentonite clay. This particular one I use has higher calcium content.
The
Montmorillonite. Morillonite. If you go on Amazon and you plug in bentonite clay, look for Aspen Naturals brand.
What is also really good is the gum and tooth powder by Dr. Morse. I really enjoy using that one.
It's just cheaper to make your own.
Yes.
Because you will buy a 2-pound bag of clay that's going to last you for over a year or more. And it's going to cost you, you know, under $18 or something.
In this
Less than
tooth
that.
in this tooth powder, we don't put any water.
No,
Just
you use it dry. You put it dry on the toothbrush, and you brush your teeth with it. And as it mixes with your saliva, it turns into more a pasty thing. But you want that friction of the clay against the tooth. You understand? Because once you wet it, you don't get as much brushing and cleaning out of it. You see?
okay.
So it's baking soda, bentonite clay, and calcium carbonate powder.
Yes.
Uh,
And you mix equal parts of this. And always keep your powder in a glass jar, because bentonite clay pulls things. It magnetizes things too. So you don't want to put it in a metal jar where it's gonna pull metals into your tooth powder. So always keep it in a glass jar, and stay away from plastics for obvious reasons. Same reason. You don't want it to pull chemicals from the plastic container.
okay, and about substitute for sunscreen, lotions, you said.
So we talked about oils when we did the webinar on skin. 3 oils in particular: 100% pure olive oil, raspberry seed oil, and neem, N-E-E-M, which is really, really smelly. So be aware of that.
Okay.
But it repels bugs also. So it will serve double duty. You won't get bit by mosquitoes.
All right.
And then you can buy zinc oxide SPF. And if you go on this website that I told you, the Detox Market, they're going to have products like that. And you can just go over them and find the ones that has just zinc oxide in it. You don't want other ingredients.
Zinc oxide SPF?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can, when you go to Amazon, you go to any website, you put in search zinc oxide sunblock and see what comes up.
Okay.
And this protects us from sun, the skin?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So something else I wanted to know about anti-aging. You said dry fasting.
Dry fasting. Dry fasting. Well, natural things like papaya, putting papaya on your face is going to get the dead skin cells off. Very rich in enzymes. Using bentonite clay as a mask, mixing it a little bit with water, it will pull impurities from your pores. And you can add some essential oils to it, like crow's hip, which is really good for your skin. Neem is another one. Manuka oil is excellent for skin.
Wait a minute, you're
Rose essential oil. So you can make a mask where you mix, you know, your bentonite clay with a little bit of water, with a few drops of essential oils. You make a paste, you put it on your skin, and you sit with it for 10 to 15 minutes.
So again, bentonite clay with manuka.
Manuka oil. So these are oils. Manuka, rose hip,
Yes.
rose oil, which is very expensive, but very, very good. And you can, you know, I wouldn't even, if you're going to buy rose oil, I wouldn't even waste it on this mask, but put it on your skin directly. Rub it in like as a moisturizer.
Again, what oil?
Rose.
Rose.
But true rose oil is extremely, extremely expensive. but it is so, so amazing for your skin. And then you can add neem oil to it. Neem is going to also pull impurities, calm the skin. There are lots of wonderful, wonderful oils that you can use and add and make masks with.
And another question, osteoporosis, the condition, I was told I have it. So what's the best way to deal with it?
Say that again, I didn't get that.
Osteoporosis, when you have calcium, you're losing calcium from the bones. You lose
Osteoporosis. Well, we've been talking about this all day. Calcium utilization. First of all, understand why you're losing calcium. You're losing calcium because you're too acidic, and the body is pulling calcium to neutralize the acids, to bring more alkalinity in. This also tells me that you have a weak parathyroid gland. And by the way, if you are not utilizing your calcium properly, you don't have a well-functioning parathyroid gland, you will see aging faster. You'll have more loose skin, wrinkles, varicose veins, spider veins. This is all caused by weak parathyroid gland. So you need to have parathyroid gland that's functioning. You need to have thyroid gland that's functioning, because they both produce hormones that utilize calcium. You also have to make sure that your pituitary gland is working well, because the pituitary gland is that manager that tells your thyroid and parathyroid what to do. So sometimes the issue is not with the parathyroid or thyroid themselves, the issue is with the pituitary, and that it's not signaling to the other two glands to do their job. Let me ask you this. How tall are you?
I'm short. Meter 56.
All right, so that's pituitary deficiency right there. There's certain things that are associated with underactive pituitary. If you are too short, or if you're too tall, if you have or have had difficult periods, a lot of cramping, or periods that were irregular, or if you were diagnosed with endometriosis, all of these things are going to be associated with the pituitary.
No, I had no problem with the period.
Okay.
It's just.
What about conception? If it was difficult for you to conceive and have children, or if you had miscarriages, stuff like that, that's another pituitary influence. If you have hyper or hypopigmentation, that's also a pituitary influence.
No, sure, I've always been short.
All right, so you do have that. That's a genetic thing. So what may also happen, you may have all three glands that are down. You may have pituitary that's underperforming, and then thyroid and parathyroid. So you have to work on all three. There are herbs and formulas you can take. Dr. Morse, which is one of the reasons I recommend Dr. Morse, is that he has developed herbal formulas for all of these conditions. Where are you located? Are you in Europe?
No, Israel.
You're in Israel.
Israel.
I don't know a distributor there, but there's, and I don't know if it's easier to ship from Europe to Israel than it is from the United States, but there is a company called Our Botanicals, and their website is ourbotanicals.com, and they have distributors in Europe and New Zealand and Australia. So you may be able to get his herbs from them. I would not recommend buying his own herbs from him directly, because that company, their own company, will charge you insane amounts for shipping, even within the US. So I actually buy his herbs from other distributors. I never buy it from him directly, because he charges way too much on shipping.
Ivana, I'm on the Spirit of Health website
Yes.
at the moment. You recommend, it's a great website, by the way. It's called spiritofhealth.com.
I don't know if they ship to Europe.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is the thing.
Yeah.
They're based within the US, and they're excellent.
Yeah,
But you can contact them
Mhm.
and see if they ship to Europe and how much that costs.
Yeah, and I had a question about, because about all these products, seeing it now on the website, the GI Renew and the
Yeah.
Stomach Bowl, they have like different ones, like 0 to 5 or whatever. What
Yes.
is the system behind that, and what would you recommend at
So
this
the
point?
numbers represent different strengths, and you have numbers from 0 to 5, and you take the number of the formula that's attached to the formula based on the number of bowel movements you have. So for example, if you have loose stools and you're prone to diarrhea, you would take the GI Renew number 0, because that will actually stop the diarrhea and firm up your stools.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going every day, once a day, you're taking the number 1. If you're going every other day,
Mm-hmm.
you're taking number 2.
Interesting.
If you're going once, so, and this is all explained on the website.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you which formula to choose, the 5 being the highest. So you want to choose the appropriate formula, because you don't want the GI Renew formula to give you diarrhea. That's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have normal bowel movements. You just want them to be more frequent. You want to have 2 to 3 minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, you should have as many as the number of meals you consume daily.
Right. Okay, got it. Thank you. That helps.
Revital, was that all?
Yes, that's what I
Okay.
thought about.
All right.
With so far. So something else comes up then. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have anyone else? Let me see. We had another question, I think.
Can I ask something, Ivana?
Sure.
So you mentioned previously you mentioned tomatoes and peppers, mentioning them being acidic. So I just, if you could elaborate on that, because I actually really like consuming, like for example, in my case, juices of both. So what is not optimal in those fruity vegetables in relation to detox? And yeah, and if you could elaborate about nightshades in general, is it related to them being nightshades, or specifically those are not optimal? Just all these subjects.
They are related to being nightshades, yes, but peppers are not as so much acidic, unless we're talking about hot peppers. So if you can do sweet peppers, they're not acidic. Those are fine.
Okay.
Tomatoes are acidic. It's just the nature of it.
Okay, and why isn't it optimal for detox?
Because acids are corrosive. Because see the difference between a lemon and a tomato. When you eat a lemon, the metabolic byproduct after a lemon is alkaline. You get alkaline ash. But with a tomato, you actually get acid ash. You see?
Okay.
The compounds it breaks down into after it's digested are actually acidic. It creates acidic waste. It's one of those mucus forming fruits and vegetables. So if you go and find Arnold Aird, you look at his list, because he will show you these are alkaline, these are mucus forming, these are okay in moderation. They create some mucus. For example, avocados are mucus forming. Things like jackfruit and durian are mucus forming. So they're not ideal. Now, if your body is clean and healthy and everything's moving well, it's okay to have them in moderation. But if you are polluted and you're dealing with all kinds of issues, you're trying to detox, I would not recommend consuming those.
I see. Yeah, it answers pretty clearly. And what about hot peppers? Like if I have kind of cravings for hot spicy things, like hot peppers, does it also indicate weak adrenals or something like that? Or what does it indicate exactly?
No, it can indicate desensitized mucosa. I used to be very much into hot things, and it took a lot for me to feel the spice. I needed more and more. Now, what do hot peppers do? They irritate the mucosa. And you don't want to do that because it makes the mucosa produce mucus. So when you irritate the mucosa repeatedly like this, it becomes less sensitive to it. So you feel like you want hotter things because you're not getting as much of it, and you're getting all clogged up with mucus. But after I cleaned out my system, now I cannot tolerate hot things.
Okay.
You see, you detox that stuff, your mucosa becomes sensitive again.
Yes.
So you, in things that I used to really pile on. Cayenne, like I loved it, all of it. The hotter, the better. People would look at me like I was crazy since I was a child, but this is not good. It means that your mucosa is so backed up that it doesn't even sense it. So to get a response from it, you have to put so much heat to it.
But why do certain people, certain detox specialists address detoxifying qualities, for example, to cayenne pepper? What is the reason?
Because it stimulates, and what it does, it stimulates mucus. So their thinking is that they're gonna break up that old mucus. But I disagree with that because you don't want to stimulate mucosa, you want to hydrate it. Because yes, you may break up some old mucus, but you also create a new one. So you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Cayenne is good in certain cases, especially people who have blood pressure issues and heart issues, because it gets the circulation going. You understand? But
Yes.
as far as detoxifying, I would be very, very careful with it.
Okay, and what about ginger? Ginger doesn't do that?
Ginger is excellent because it's not as hot. It's not as hot as cayenne. It's not as hot as habanero, all of these peppers. It has a little spice in it, but it's milder. And ginger is so, so good. Excellent. If you're juicing, especially liquidarian, all of my juices, I will juice a hunk of ginger this big, and I will love it. It stimulates peristalsis, your gut motility. It dissolves mucus. It's loaded with nutrients. It has calcium in it. It's really, really, really great. So ginger, yes. Hot peppers, not so much, or in really, really small amounts and in moderation.
Okay. I also wanted to ask about nightshades in general. Does it have any addictive ingredient in them?
Addictive, I have never heard of this, but it does have some toxic, naturally occurring toxins within them. That's really it. I've never heard of addictive qualities of the.
But I mean, if I juice, for example, large quantities of, let's say, bell pepper, this toxic ingredient might be actually dangerous, or it's not. We are not talking about these.
You could overdo it, and if you are going to do peppers, I would stick with yellow. They're the least acidic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and also I wanted to ask about why a person who has weak adrenals, why would they have more salty things rather than sugary things like fruit juices or something like that? What is the reason for that?
Because adrenal glands maintain the sodium balance in your body. Sodium is salt. So when they're not able to do the job, you don't have sufficient sodium levels. So you get a craving for salt.
Okay. Yeah, it's pretty clear. Okay, so thank you so much. Okay, guys.
Sure.
Yeah, you just mentioned it. Yes, I have craving for salt. So is that an indication for a problem with
Adrenal glands?
You mentioned the parathyroid gland, and pituitary. So which one is the problematic when you your body doesn't absorb calcium and you're losing calcium. Where exactly?
All three can be at fault for different reasons. Thyroid and parathyroid directly are involved with producing hormones that utilize calcium. Calcitonin and parathormone. But pituitary is the one that gives the order to these two glands to make these hormones. You see? So in an indirect way, pituitary can be a culprit here.
Mm-hmm.
But directly, if we're talking about calcium utilization, if you don't have glands that are producing enough of these hormones that can then utilize calcium properly.
So I go to Dr. Morse's. I look.
So there are no herbs for parathyroid. We do not know of any specific herbs that work on the parathyroid gland. All berries are known to work for glands, but you can take a parathyroid glandular. But I know that a lot of you guys are ethical vegans, and a glandular product is an animal product. It's actually a gland, a parathyroid gland, taken from a healthy animal. And it's raw and it's desiccated and freeze-dried. And when you take it, it signals to your own parathyroid gland, it wakes it up to start to make its own hormones.
What is it called again? Parathyroid gland?
Glandular.
Okay.
And if you're going to use any glandular product, be it for your adrenal glands, because there are glandular products for every single gland. You can get it for your pituitary, for your thyroid, for your parathyroid, for your adrenal glands. If you're going to do that, only use products that are sourced from New Zealand cattle. Nowhere else except for New Zealand. They have the highest, the stringent animal cruelty laws, and how they raise the animals has the highest standards in the world. Because if you're going to be getting it from other sources, you're going to be getting it from animals that were abused, which means they're stressed out, which means their hormonal production is affected, right? Or you're going to be consuming antibiotics, pesticides, and so on.
Ivana, so what would be the vegan option for that? Because most of
there
the
is
people
no
in this
vegan
group-
option. Unfortunately, there is no vegan option other than detoxing those glands.
So just detoxing. And what kind of herb would assist in detoxing them?
Well, detoxing herbs are usually herbs that are kidney herbs once, because kidneys is what detoxes. Then you have lymphatic formulas that contain poke root, red root, cleavers, chaparral. These are lymphatic herbs that are going to pull lymph out of your glands. Now, you can always take endocrine herbs hoping that they will hit your parathyroid, and these are usually saw palmetto, he shu wu, vitex, what else? Right now I'm having sort of a brain fart, but there are a lot of gland formulas that are for glands specifically.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know that any of them work for parathyroid. We just don't. I'm sure there are herbs out there, we haven't discovered them. So if you take all of these, they might do something for you. But the main thing, if you don't want to take any animal products, is detox, detox, detox.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that's going to restore the function of your glands. And to detox the head and anything that's in the neck, you got to clean your GI tract. Remember, your transverse colon is connected to everything in your head from the neck up. So to restore your pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, got to clean your gut.
You mentioned when the body is acidic or something, then there's a problem with absorbing the calcium.
The problem is not with absorbing calcium. When the body is acidic, the body will lose calcium because the body basically initiates what's called a calcium buffering mechanism. It's going to start to pull minerals, which are alkaline, out of your connective tissue to make the environment more alkaline and less acidic. Do you see? So calcium loss is in response to acidosis. And when that is not enough, then the liver is going to start making a lot of cholesterol, because cholesterol is also an antacid. And you will see this with people who have a lot of lipomas under their skin. They start to get fatty deposits everywhere because they're so acidic that the body is just making all this fat, trying to maintain some sort of homeostasis.
So how do you solve this problem? Is that also fasting?
So first, you detox, you get the acids out. You stop putting things in your body that create more acids. This means you do not eat cooked food, because cooked food is acidic, has that acid ash, gives you that acidic hit, right? So you're keeping your diet as alkaline as possible, and you're detoxing your body to move all of those acids that are strangling your cells, that are killing your glands, to get them out of your system. And you do that by having your kidneys work properly, by cleaning your bowels, and then you're stimulating lymph movement. You can do this with herbs, or you can do this just with movement. You do rebounding, you do stretching, you do yoga, you do dry brushing. It gets that lymph moving, because the lymph is agglomerated. It's dehydrated, it's stagnant. It's almost like it's frozen. And we gotta get it, you have to break it up to move it out of your system.
Okay, so you detox, you don't eat, you move, you don't eat cooked food.
Anything that's acid forming, you do not put in your body. And even some raw, as we said, vegetables are acid forming. They have acid ash.
Tomato.
So you want to minimize them, like avocado, tomato. Okay, don't eat too many things that are really hot and spicy, because it's going to overstimulate your mucosa. You'll be producing more mucus. And it's that mucus that is strangling the cell. It's like the same way you can't breathe when you have a lot of mucus that's been hydrated. It's the same thing with a cell. It can't breathe.
So what do you eat? Just fruit?
Fruit is something that's going to get the lymph moving. But if you have problems with your glands, if you're not filtering, you have problems with your adrenals, you're going to have to need herbs. Because when you go on a fruit diet, or you go on all raw diet, your adrenals are going to crash, and you're going to feel no energy. And you're going to think that it's because you're not eating enough. It has nothing to do with it. It's because your adrenals are no longer being artificially stimulated by cooked food. And why is cooked food a stimulant? Because we put salt in it, and salt is a stimulant for the adrenals. So when you remove things that no longer artificially stimulate the adrenals, like cooked food, coffee, tea, all of that stuff, now you're faced with the true condition of your adrenal glands. And sometimes it's not pretty. When I first went raw and I didn't know any of this, I could not walk. I mean, every 3 steps I had to stop and hold on to something and take a breath. I couldn't believe it. And I thought, I can't do this. I cannot be raw because I'm not getting enough calories. I'm not getting enough nutrition. What had nothing to do with it. Once I learned about the glands and the glandular system, and I started to support my adrenals, I had none of these issues. So when you know you have these weaknesses, you're going to need glands, because when you go raw, you're not going to feel very good, because you're going to take away a lot of the things that were artificially propping you up. So if you want to be able to function and live your life, you are going to need herbs. You may need even glandulars. But all glandulars are supposed to be taken only for a short period of time. The only exception would be adrenal glandulars, because all of our adrenals are so damaged and in such bad state that you can take them for a while. Normally, I would have somebody take a glandular, whether it's thyroid or parathyroid, for a bottle and then stop. And then just support your glands with herbs. And maybe if you need some more help, come back to it maybe 2 months down the road, if you feel like it's not still where it needs to be. Your parathyroid or your thyroid, right? Because you can reach a point of saturation with the glandulars where they stop working or they start having the opposite effect. So glandulars are there just to get you, just to turn the gland on, to get you started, because herbs take a very long time to work. If you start taking herbs for your adrenals, it may take you weeks before you start to feel better. But you take a glandular product and it's almost instant. It's like taking, you know, a pill and you start to feel different right away. So they work faster. So we take them to initially wake up the gland, sort of turn the engine on, and once it's on, then we start to use herbs to keep it going. But the idea is we only use both glandulars and herbs while we're cleaning, because that is when the glands still need help. But once they're detoxed, you no longer need herbs or glandulars. Now your body is working on its own. That is the idea. I don't want people to think that you have to become dependent on herbs or glandulars. That is not the case at all. But you may need them while you're cleaning, because while your gland is in a sorry state, it's going to take it a long time to get to a point where it can work on its own. And if you just let it be in its natural state, you're not going to feel very good. You may not be able to get through the day. So in order to be able to function and feel semi-normal, you will need the support of herbs. This is why I always tell people, do not go on a detox and think that you're going to be able to do this just with raw food, because you're going to feel like crap. You're not going to be able to get out of bed and care for your children. You're going to need herbs, because our bodies are just in such a state of breakdown and dysfunction, unfortunately, that we need these things. Very few people can do it with just the diet. And those are the people that have less genetic weaknesses, that have stronger constitution, and so on.
So for how long do we have to take the glandulars?
Well, if you're taking the adrenal glandulars, you can take them for a few months straight. But if you're taking glandulars for your parathyroid, I would take it for a month and then stop. And then just do the herbs. And of course, you also want to give your body calcium-rich herbs, such as horsetail, oat straw, alfalfa leaf juice. You want, you know, a lot of herbs that are going to be builders. You want to make sure your vitamin D and vitamin K are adequate, because there are different components that are involved here. You have the glands that do the work, but they need the ingredients. It's like, you know, your glands are the bakers, your food are the ingredients, and together you make a cake.
Could you repeat the names of these? You said alfalfa leaf juice.
Alfalfa leaf juice, oat straw. Let me think. Horsetail, comfrey, both root and leaf. Black walnut leaf. I mean, you can do a search, and Dr. Morse has something that's called bone and connective tissue formula. You can also take, this is also another animal product, but there's zero cruelty involved, which is deer antler. Is loaded with growth factors. It's great for collagen production, for cartilage growth, for bone growth, all of that.
Again,
Bone and connective tissue formula. And his brand is called Cellular Botanicals.
You spoke beforehand, you tried to understand where the problem is, and you mentioned cancer and fertility problems. Well, I don't have it, but I have one sister who had cancer and one sister who had problem having children.
Mm-hmm.
So what it runs in the family, but and we all have calcium problems, osteoporosis.
Well, you all come from the same, your branches of the same tree, you all come from the same mama, right? So you're going to have that. Some people will manifest it in different ways. Now, also, whoever is the youngest will have the most problems.
My youngest sister, she had cancer.
Because with each generation, things get progressively worse. Because if the mother is overly acidic, is lymphatically backed up, she cannot clean for herself, she's not cleaning for the baby. But this is a two-way street. The baby also produces waste and backs up mom's lymphatic system even further. Now, if mom has parathyroid weakness, that baby is sucking all the calcium out of her. She's going to come out of the pregnancy with stretch marks, with loose skin. She's going to have varicose veins or spider veins. She's going to have melasma. She's going to have all kinds of hyperpigmentation issues. And she may very well come out of it with postpartum depression.
My mother had teeth problems after.
Yes, because calcium, baby sucks the calcium out. You have parathyroid glandular weakness, you can't put that calcium back in. So now one baby's out, now she has another baby. She is now in a weaker position than she was with the first baby, right? She's even more lymphatically backed up. Now this second baby takes even more calcium from her. And this baby comes out even more backed up lymphatically because mama is in worse position. So the more children you have, you will see in families that the youngest ones will have the worst problems because they got the least of the goodies that were available that the other kids took from mother, and they're the most lymphatically backed up.
I'm the eldest and I'm the least sick. I didn't have any problems, less physical problems.
Yes.
I had other problems.
Mm-hmm.
Ivana, I have just a brief question, I think, which is important for the rest of the group as well. What, in your point of view, regarding the herbs, is the strongest that you can use? Are there the tinctures, the glycerin, or the powders?
It depends. If you have compromised digestion and absorption, the best way for you to go would be a tincture. Mm-hmm. It is not as strong as the capsule and a dry herb, but the dry herb has to be digested and absorbed, you see? Mm-hmm. And if you don't have good digestion absorption, it doesn't matter that you're taking the herb in a stronger form because you really can't utilize it, you mm-hmm. see? So if you have poor digestion, absorption, tinctures are better because they will actually get into your system.
Okay.
If you have decent digestion absorption, then of course the herb in a capsule is much stronger.
Okay. Oh, that's new to me. So thank you. That's very helpful. Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, we are above 2 hours now. So does anyone else have, out of the people who are present here, do you have any more questions?
I did have a question regarding, the 6-hour eating window, but I'm just afraid that we're going on too long because that'll
Okay,
probably
go
be.
ahead. Go
It's
ahead.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just was saying that, I try to dry fast every day for 18 hours and, keep a eating window of 6 hours, but I find it hard to stay inside that window, especially if I'm taking herbs, because I was told I should start my day with a herb and a tea and then wait 15 minutes and then I can start my first fruit meal. Then I'll have a second, and then I wait a bit to digest that, have another fruit meal, wait again, and then I'll try to take the herbs 15 minutes before my last meal, which is usually my vegetable meal. And then I'm going 18 hours, dry. But I'm just wondering, am I getting enough hydration because I'm constipated? Maybe am I eating too much? I'm just not really sure how to manage it with the herbs and everything.
So first and foremost, the information that was given to you is correct. Okay, now it sounds to me like you have digestion problems. Like you're not efficiently digesting the food, so it takes longer to digest. So, which means that you're now adding more food on top of food that's been undigested, that's not been digested properly, and you're creating fermentation.
Right.
Right? So you also know you have constipation. So you should be taking things to keep your bowels moving at all times. In a case like yours, maybe intermittent fasting is not the best choice for you until you get your digestion going. Also, if you're doing fruit meals, I would only recommend mono meals. Don't mix things, different fruits together. If you're going to do watermelon, just do watermelon. And if you're going to have 3 meals, and by the way, it doesn't mean that you should fit in 3 meals. You may need less meals if you're not digesting them well.
Yeah.
And stick, maybe if you're going to do fruit, stick with fruit that is very easily digestible. Or even blend your fruit.
Mm-hmm.
If you blend it in a blender, and by the way, watermelon's great for this, mango, and then you sort of drink it, it's already pre-digested.
Mm.
So you're getting a head start. Because your stomach has to mechanically break up that fruit into smaller particles, and that takes some time. And also, if your stomach is underactive, then you're going to have things just sitting around doing nothing.
Right.
So things are not moving. So it's like traffic. You're creating a backup, basically, on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
So the information as far as when to take herbs and when to eat is fine. That's good. That is correct. Maybe try blending your fruit so it digests easier, but also support your pancreas, because you may not be getting enough pancreatic enzymes to digest your food, and so it takes longer. If you're in the US, Spirit of Health has an herbal formula called Digestive Heat. And it's a few herbs, and it does have pancreatic herbs in it. You take that as sort of, before you eat, it starts to stimulate your glands to secrete enzymes so that you start to digest things. You can look into that, or just take Dr. Morse's pancreatic herbs.
Is this also helpful when you can't absorb minerals?
I'm sorry?
Is this also helpful, the herb, you just mentioned, the digestive heat powder, when you can't absorb minerals?
No. It's to secrete enzymes. Mm-hmm. Absorption is a little different. Now, if your problem is digestion, then absolutely. Mm-hmm. This is more to get the digestion going. Right. Absorption is different, but you can't absorb unless you've digested something. Mm-hmm. So I would try that. I don't know if you can even do a vegetable meals so close, because that means you're eating every 2 hours, right? Essentially. But I think that if you get the fruit digested, and if you do fruit that's easily digestible, like watermelon, and you blend it, that's gonna move things out of your system very quickly. So by the time you get to your third meal, you should have less of a problem. But if you still have a problem, that means
Hey,
your pancreas is really weak.
hello, sweetheart.
Uh,
No.
Okay.
Does that help?
Mhm.
And you have to keep working on your GI tract. I think you were the one who posted that you lost weight, right? That's malabsorption. So you
Yeah,
have to.
I think for me it's like because I've lost weight, I'm afraid of not eating enough. So I'm trying to eat as much as I can, but at the same time I know that probably is
It
counterproductive.
doesn't matter. It's counterproductive. It doesn't matter, because if you, like I said, if you don't absorb one
Yeah.
apple, you're certainly not going to absorb 3 apples. You see what I'm saying? It's not about the amount, it's what are you absorbing.
Right.
So sometimes it's, yes, you're going to be thin for a while. And I tell people, go on a juice fast. And they go, oh, but I'm going to lose weight. Yes, but it's better to be thin for 3 months than 3 years. You see what I'm saying? Because in 3 months, you can fix your absorption enough that you can start putting weight back on, real weight, not water, not fat, muscle.
Mhm.
So sometimes you just have to, you know, buckle up, strap yourself in. Yes, it's going to be ugly for the next 3 months or 4 months. But after that, I'm going to be good. I'd rather do that than go slowly for years. But that's just me.
Okay, guys, I think we are going to wrap it up for today. Yeah, unless you have an urgent question. No.
I have a hypothetical question. Is there anybody that is healthy? We have so many health issues. Are we all sick? Is the problem that bad in the modern world?
Well, first of all, I no longer consider myself sick. I still have some work to do, but I feel pretty good. At this point, I just like to get all of my hair back, not just some of it. But for the most part, I'm pretty good 3 years in. So I would no longer call myself sick or unwell. Now it's more cosmetic things here and there that I would like to improve.
And if you start taking care of yourself, you solve the problem. But people that are unaware and don't take care of themselves, they just
listen, at one point I was unaware also. So we all come from unawareness, and at some point we become aware. Nobody was born aware of everything unless you're born into parents that really already know this stuff, that were raw, that raised you properly. Like our ex-child, I'm sure, children, I don't know how many children you have.
Yeah.
One. So your child is not going to have this issue because you are starting from the diapers and you're instilling specific values, the correct way of eating, the relationship with the food.
Yeah.
You see, so unless you're from that generation and you were lucky enough to have hippies as parents that lived in the woods and you know, foraged for berries and herbs, then you're like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ivana, so before we finish, maybe you could tell us in a few words about the personal services that you provide, because seeing this wealth of knowledge and information that you are sharing, it might be that some of our members of our amazing group will want to receive personal guidance from you. So what kind of options do people have in this realm?
So I am a detox coach. I offer iridology readings, and I have different packages that people can purchase. They can get an iridology reading plus a personal session, Q&A, with a protocol, okay? Or you can purchase an iridology report separately. And my iridology reports are really, really in-depth. They run 40 to 50 pages. Okay, so you're getting a lot of information. when you get your eyes read. And not just information about your eyes, but context for everything, what is happening. So that when you get a report from me, you are going to be able to look at the report and see what gland does what. And if it's hypoactive, it has these symptoms. And if it's hyperactive, it has these symptoms, so that you can refer to, it's almost like your own personal handbook, where you can match up your weaknesses and lymphatic stagnation, the level of lymphatic stagnation, to the symptomology, and really know what is happening in your body. So I also do consults that don't include iridology, right? So if you have specific issues you want to talk about, you maybe have hit a plateau, or you are stuck, things are not moving, and you want to know why, you can just book an hour-long session with me. I also do energy readings or healings. I do tarot readings, but I do energy healing. I channel information from higher sources of guidance like Archangel Michael, and I work with a collective consciousness who call themselves Tar, very high level beings. I do past life regression for people, which has a healing element to it. This is the Dolores Cannon modality called the quantum healing hypnosis, where we put people under. The person has their own experience, goes to see other lifetimes, other existences, and then channels their own highest self, who does healings on their body and answers their own questions. Okay, so this is another service that I offer. So it's sort of a smorgasbord of things, you know, whatever may interest you, I probably do it to some extent. And if you go to my website, ascensioncode.org, and I think Arik posts my website in video description. You can go on my website. You can check out my articles, my channeled material. You can check out my videos on spiritual stuff that's outside of the detox and health stuff. And you can also see a more detailed description of my services that I provide.
Amazing. So all of your services are available online, or some of them require actually person coming to you?
Only one of the services, I wouldn't say it requires, but it's better in person. There are some obstacles that can be overcome with careful planning, and this would be the past life regression. It's more difficult to do remotely, because when a person is in trance, their voice drops and it's very difficult for me to hear. So they would have to acquire a microphone on a stand that I would be able to hear them. Now, they would have to be in the room alone, right? Because this is a private sort of setting. But when a person is out of my reach, if something happens, for example, connection goes out, and they're in the middle of being in trance, I can't bring them out, and we can't reconnect. So in this situation, what I would require is that that person has somebody else sent home who is in a different room. So that this happens, I can get in touch with them, where they can go and reestablish connection. Because I cannot just leave a client in trance. I have to count them back out of hypnotic trance for them to return to normal function. So there are some hurdles with this, but everything else can be done remotely online.
So if, let's say, a person really wants to go into the detox realm and get detox coaching from you, so would you say that it would start from the iridology session, and then according to that you would recommend this person different like certain program of fasting or herbs, etc.?
Well, first they fill out a questionnaire which was designed by Dr. Morse, which basically, when I look at what symptoms the person has, I can tell already where their issues are. Then I look at their eyes and sort of compare the symptoms to what I see in the eyes, because not all things that show up in the eyes are going to give you symptoms, right? And then based on the person's complaints, what their issues are, combined with the information that I glean from reading their eyes, we developed then a protocol to get them back to health. through diet and herbs, yes.
Mm. And then you keep in touch with the person every now and then just to make sure they are moving correctly?
It depends. Usually, you know, once it depends on the package that you get, right? But once we've done our in-person, whatever we're supposed to do, you can schedule additional sessions. Usually people come back with a few questions and I'll answer them, but sometimes people, once again, want to overwhelm me with questions where I go, got to step back a little bit, right? So either schedule another session or figure this out, because I cannot continue to be so involved.
Absolutely.
After we're finished with our appointment. Are you a therapist, Arik?
I provide coaching for people, but it's not my main occupation. So yeah, some kind of life coaching, raw food coaching.
All right. So the idea is, you know, it's very hard sometimes because people get their coaching in a session and then they have other questions.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on the scope of questions.
That's right.
But, you know, we're paid for our time for a certain installment, right? So it's an exchange of energy. You pay me for this much of my time. I give you this much of my time. Now, I usually help people. I don't just shut people down, but when it becomes too much, because it's not just one person, you have multiple people that are reaching out to you, where you got to go, all right, either we schedule something else, or, you know, you can go and try to figure this out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's only so much of me to go around. Or if I answered all the questions that people email me on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, I'm not gonna eat, sleep, or do anything else. It's just not possible. As much as I would love to help people, I just don't have the physical ability to do that.
Absolutely. Okay, Ivana, so thank you so much for all this amazing information that you have shared. I just I really appreciate it. You know, just have no words to say. So
thank you.
Are we going to have a link of your website in order to link of Ivana's website?
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna put it after posting this video on YouTube. I'm going to put it below the video. Absolutely. And of course, we will keep in touch regarding our further activities together.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Okay, guys. So good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Ivana.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.